Hi, I'm Dinesh, Business Studies teacher at Podar International School. Today I'm going to share some information on IGCSE Business Studies, Chapter 4, Government and Economic Influences on Business, and the topic for the discussion is Government Economic Objectives. In a mixed economy where the government has a major role or a part to play, they have some set targets and aims to achieve for the economy. Some of these objectives are: first, lower the rate of inflation. Second, low level of unemployment. Third, economic growth. And the fourth is favorable balance of payment. These are the four major objectives the government want to achieve. First, we'll take lower rate of inflation. What does an inflation means? Inflation is the rise in the prices of goods and services over a period of time. As it is not necessary that if the prices will rise, the wages of the people will also go up. For example, if we'll take an example of a say $100 is a salary or a wage of a person, and he used to buy 3 kg apple. But now, as there is a rise in the price of goods and services, he will only be able to buy 2 kg of apple. Now the difference is, why this difference has occurred? That is because of the inflation. The prices are gone up and the particular salary of a person remains unchanged. So the real income has gone down. Real income is the value of income in terms of what it can buy. Say for example, if a person got an annual increment in a salary by 5%, salary increment, and the market price or average price of goods and services go up by 2%, or we can say the inflation is 2%, can you guess what is a real income for a person? Yeah, you got it right. It's almost 3% will be an annual increment for a person because of the rise in the prices of goods and services, and because of the inflation, the annual increment what he receives is actually only a 3%, because he is only going to save 3% of his income. Now the prices when we talk about a country as a whole, when the price of goods and services will rise in a particular country, people will tend to buy more of a foreign goods, because once the people will buy more of a foreign goods, the conditions of the economy may get worsened. This can result actually in the demolishment of the businesses, and the aggregate demand for the goods and services will go down and unemployment will increase. Therefore, to avoid all such situations from happening, the government tends to keep the inflation rates very low. There are several reasons for inflation. First is cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. In case of a cost push inflation, the price of the goods and services goes up because there is increase in the production cost. For example, the wages will increase. Second, maybe because of increase in the rent. Third, maybe the interest rate has gone up. Fourth, maybe because of the rise in the prices of the raw material, the cost push inflation occurs. Second type of inflation we can say which occurs is a demand pull inflation. In case of a demand pull inflation, there are lot of money chasing a few goods. It means that when the n number of people are ready to buy fewer goods and the supply remains constant, at that time demand pull inflation occurs. The third cause for inflation is imported inflation. In case of imported inflation, the price of the goods and services produced by one country has an impact on the other country's economy. For example, for a crude oil, if the price of the crude oil will go up in the market, it leads to have an impact on the country which imports the crude oil. Because the crude oil's price, when the increase, it will lead to increase in the prices of petrol and diesel. When the petrol and diesel price goes up, it has an impact on the transportation cost to go up. For example, if we take an example of a vegetable, if a vegetable is transported from one place to another, it adds on the cost of the particular vegetable. So the price of the vegetable in the market will tend to move up. That is imported inflation. Because of the one country's economy, the other country's economy is also getting affected. Another major aim for the government is to keep low level of unemployment. Unemployment is a situation where people are willing to work, they are able to work but can't find a job. If more people in a country remains unemployed, this can result in a serious consequences for the economy on the whole. First of all, if people are unemployed, it means that the country is not able to use all the resources or the factors of production in the economy. And the situation, could have been much better if they could have employed all the resources. Second, the government keeps lower level of unemployment so that they are not supposed to pay the unemployment benefits. If the government pays unemployment benefits, it increases their expenditures. So always they want to cut down the expenditure and they can use this particular fund on other different economic issues. Another main objective of the government is to achieve high economic growth. Economic growth is when the country gross domestic product increases as a result in the physical output of goods and services in an economy. GDP is the total value of output and goods and services in a country in 1 year. Higher GDP increases the quality of goods and services available for consumers, and this increases living standards. Higher level of output often lead to increase in employment, which will increase consumer income. More resources can be devoted to a desirable public sector projects such as health and education. Businesses experience rising demand for their particular product. Higher GDP makes more resources available for government through greater income from tax and decreased burdens on the social expenditure like unemployment, benefits, etc. The last and the most important also is a favorable balance of payment. Favorable balance of payment is a balance of payment basically records the difference between the country's import and export. Exports are whatever the goods which are being produced and which are being sent or which are being sold to another country. Imports are the amount of goods and services bought in from the other country. If the government want to achieve balance of payment, they have to maintain that balance in the or equality in the imports and exports. If imports are more, then the country is in a deficit position, and if exports are more, the country is in a surplus position. So the country has to, or the government has to maintain a perfect balance in order to survive smoothly. We have come to an end of this lecture. To just give you a small recap of what we have done in this particular lecture, these are the 4 major government economic objectives or a macroeconomic objective for any government. We have discussed inflation, the cost push inflation and demand pull inflation. We have talked about what are the causes and the consequences of unemployment. We have discussed about the economic growth, and we have even discussed about the balance of payment, whether the country should have a higher exports or a lower exports. So we have come to an end. If you have any doubt, do come back to me. We'll meet you in a next lecture. Thank you.